And I took a big breath and I went down, and I opened my eyes, in my mask in the darkness, with my flashlight, and I saw right in front of me this huge eyeball like the size of a saucer. The hunt for life on other worlds has taken the world's scientific community to studying the far reaches of our galaxy. But new discoveries may have these scientists focusing a little closer to home. Look at the mouth on that thing, good lord. Recently, Joe Rogan had an interview with Garrett Reisman, a NASA astronaut and one of the only people to both spend time in space as an astronaut aboard the ISS and spend time on the bottom of the ocean. He spent time on the Nemo 5 mission, which put him and several other crew members on the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency's underwater habitat known as Aquarius. This submarine is anchored to the sea floor and allows Reisman and other NASA astronauts to train and understand what their time will be like aboard the International Space Station. One of the hardest elements of life aboard the ISS is dealing with the size of your living space. Aquarius gives each guest about as much room as they would have aboard the spacecraft, which helps train the astronauts' physiologic response to being stuck in such cramped quarters. Reisman recalled that the view from the ISS was quite a bit better, which may have helped with his time there. But explorers dealing with living space is not the only similarity between the deep ocean and space beyond the atmosphere. The world's oceans are some of the least explored areas on the entire planet. And as such, NASA has had their eye on the deepest underwater zones as ways to test the next generation of space exploration vehicles against the toughest conditions Earth has to offer that may even exceed what they will experience on other worlds. Complete darkness, bone-crushing pressure, and otherworldly creatures. The deepest regions of Earth's oceans appear like another world, completely alien to what we can see on the surface of our planet. Down 1,000 meters once you cross into the aphotic zone, sunlight can no longer break through the water column. They have teamed up with a number of oceanic organizations like Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, which helped them crash land a device at the bottom of the Hadal Zone, named for the Lord of the Underworld from Greek mythology, more than 10,000 meters below the surface. And now engineers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory are working on a new autonomous vehicle to explore the deepest regions of the oceans called Orpheus, named after the Greek hero who traveled to the underworld and back. Designed to withstand the insane pressures of the Hadal Zone, this submersible vehicle will be dealing with upwards of 600 to over 1,000 times the atmospheric pressure on the surface. Orpheus will be used to generate a three-dimensional map of the ocean's floor to identify what it finds in the depths and catalog the biodiversity it discovers. And in a world devoid of light, the creatures found here have evolved with some unique adaptations that allow them to survive in an environment that would absolutely destroy most creatures on Earth down to the cellular level. These animals have evolved specially designed cellular structures to stop the intense pressure from crushing them. Life can be found in even the most extreme conditions found here around the volcanic vents, releasing superheated magma and gases. The organisms found here that survive off of the nutrients. Viewing into the ocean gave scientists an interesting idea. The life down here may give them clues as to what they should look for on other planets. NASA in particular has picked up this idea and are working it into their interests with a particular moon within the solar system, Europa. Music. Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons, has caught the eye of many researchers looking for regions in the cosmos that may be able to harbor life. The ice sheet that covers the surface of Europa is believed to be between 15 and 25 kilometers thick, floating on top of an immense ocean. These oceans are far bigger than any of the ones on Earth and may contain more than 2 times the amount of water and are also between 60 and 150 kilometers deep, at least double the depth of most of our oceans. But like the deepest depths of our oceans, the ice sheet covering the water on Europa is so thick that it cuts off all forms of light from penetrating through and creates an enormous amount of pressure similar to what we find in the Hadal Zone. Astronomers have long believed that life may be hiding somewhere in these massive oceans, surviving off the minerals present and the possible hydrothermal vents many believe are scattered across Europa's sea floor. The process of getting to the moon, over 608 million kilometers away, with the proper equipment will be the challenge. But NASA believes that if their Orpheus vehicle can withstand the crushing pressures and conditions of the Hadal Zone, building a vehicle to dive deep into Europa's oceans and search for life will be no problem. A new discovery, however, may make their whole mission on the surface of Europa a bit easier. Music. Scientists studying the icy moon of Europa have made a startling discovery: evidence of shallow pools that may be sitting just below the ice as close as 1 mile from the moon's surface. If researchers can confirm this, it would not only make the process of planning missions to test the waters, but would also give a boost to the chances that alien life exists on Europa, as these pools may be close enough to the surface to get some kind of light filtering through. A team led by a PhD student at Stanford University studied the surface morphology and habitability of Europa while looking closely at the double ridges that cover the surface, and uncovered something intriguing. These ridges are very similar to ice ridges that can be found in Greenland, and these ridges on Earth are formed because of shallow pools of water under Greenland's ice. The team believes that ridge structures found all over the moon are the result of a water cycle in which water beneath the surface of the ice melts and refreezes due to the high-pressure environment within the sheet. Water sitting just a mile under the surface would also be protected from the harsh radiation that's emitted by Jupiter, giving the alien life a better chance at getting a start. NASA's current plan is to launch their Europa Clipper mission in the next few years, with the goal of reaching the moon by the year 2030 and performing several flybys to get accurate readings of the habitability of the moon and look for areas of intrigue for many more dedicated trips to this moon. But NASA isn't just using the ocean floor to prepare for trips far into the solar system. NASA's time in the ocean will also help them with a mission much closer to our home planet. One new project being launched is called the Volatile Investigating Polar Exploration Rover, or VIPER, which will be traveling to the moon's south pole to take a look at the water ice that's been found there. VIPER will drill down into the ice to uncover how much ice is really there, and if it may be possible to utilize any of the water for rocket fuel, drinking water, or any other application. The mission will allow NASA to test their equipment, prepare for longer missions to planets much further away to do much of the same. Could the future of humanity rely on what we find off of our world? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, check out some of our other videos delving into different corners of our wonderful universe, like the 10 most shocking space discoveries finally revealed.